Hello friends, it is July 3rd and I am the day after chemo. So it was my first round of the 5th round. Probably a better way to say that, but first chemo of the 5th round. So I am through 4 solid rounds, 4 months. I'm starting my 5th month and hopefully I'll only have 6. So it seems like I think my last day is going to be August 13th for chemo. I kind of counted it out. And so doing pretty good. Last week my labs were lower than they had been. So white blood cells were struggling, red blood cells were struggling, bone marrow was struggling, kind of all the things you'd expect. So I was probably I had the worst blood work I've had so far last time, but it was still okay to go through a treatment. Everything's fine. I'm still not even close to the no-go zone where they don't allow you to take chemo. So I'm still healthy enough for that. And that's good because I don't want to get off track. I want to stay on track. So I think the mistletoe is really helping to keep my immune system strong and keep the chemo and Herceptin and Perjeta going where it needs to go. So I'm going to keep doing it. Things are going pretty well. So today I'm doing a little later update. I was going to do it this morning, but I prioritized Qigong and I did not have enough time to do a video. I didn't want to rush it. Plus I really want to make a fun topic today of natural painkillers and just talk a little bit about things that I've used in my life, research I've done for other patients, and this is not at all a conclusive list of things, but it is a good look at things you can do to basically manage discomfort in a natural way without, taxing other systems of your body and creating a lot of toxicities. So I think natural painkillers are good to learn about. So that'll be the topic today. Overall though, how my day went, I woke up feeling pretty good. I did have some GI upset this morning, just was kind of touchy, felt not good. And then I was okay, and then it wasn't good, and then I was okay. So I was actually okay throughout the day. It's been fine. So hopefully that was no big deal. It's just kind of like an upset stomach. And it went away almost as soon as it came. So I'm hoping that was a fluke. But today I did suffer a little bit of nausea. I had a couple good waves of it. I had 5 appointments today, which is a big day for me these days. And it felt good. I felt strong. I think the big thing I brought up to the PA last time, I had a meeting with a PA on Tuesday, and I brought up that my heart feels kind of off. It's when I'm really exerting myself physically, I feel fine. When I'm like putting out a high level of energy, I feel fine. Like we went disc golfing Monday. I had the port accessed and everything, and I have not done a lot of disc golf since this all started as far as like full-on play. I've done putt night and things, but playing like full-on has been a little, iffy. And we did probably 15 holes, I think, ultimately, 15, 16 holes, skipped a few. And I felt great. But I noticed when I do like a low-level physical exertion, I almost feel this like emptiness behind my chest, like my heart isn't keeping up or something's just not keeping up. It's not quite like a atrial palpitation that I feel like I've had when I was younger. It feels bigger. So then I was worried about the ventricles, and the PA said it could be the ventricles. There's of course a kind of arrhythmia that can hit like at the lower physical exertion, and then it gets better at a higher physical exertion. So it sort of like skips a beat and then like catches up, kind of thing. So I was diagnosed with something like that in my early 20s when they found a hole in my heart, the patent foramen ovale between the atria. But it was kind of, overlooked, brushed off. It was fine. It's stable, right? So there's nothing they can really do. So I haven't really got any updates. So I'm assuming the Herceptin is attacking that and causing some damage, and I'm having more issues with that now. So just something that I'm monitoring. In fact, I'm going to probably get a Holter monitor. They have ones where you can put your fingers on. Just something to maybe have handy for when I do have those episodes so I can see what's truly happening to the heart. I was so worried about it. A week ago, I brought my stethoscope home from the office just so I could listen, which I did listen during one of the episodes, and it sounds fine, but I'm not an expert, and listening to heart sounds are very tricky. I really focused on them at one point in grad school and tried really hard to catch some of the murmurs, and I got fairly good, but it is a skill. So people who can catch those, it does take a lot of training and a lot of listening to really pick up on the finer nuances of heart arrhythmias and murmurs. So give those people credit. So I'm trying my best to hear that and sort of get my own awareness of what's happening in my body. So I'll keep you posted, but we got to roll with it. We knew this was going to be the possibility that heart toxicity is a real side effect. So it's a trade-off, right? Yeah, but maybe it'll keep me alive a lot longer. So we're going to roll with that. So some natural painkillers. What are things I really like? Something I've used for, I don't know, probably, I would say last 6 or 7 years has been kratom. This is a hot topic. Some people call it kratom, or I don't know how they pronounce it. They have some weird pronunciations. I call it kratom. It's been around forever. Like, it's been around for centuries, and other countries have used it for a long, long time for pain. So these days it's getting a bad rap in the US because it's competing against big pharma, and anything that has an effect on pain, that's a big business. And so they're gonna try to squash anything natural. So, my chickens are walking around behind me. They're just digging. They're feeling really confident up here. I'm up at the top of my yard, and they are exploring probably over to my neighbors right now, which is terrible, but girls, come out. Yeah, chickens don't listen. So kratom, it's been around for a long time. It comes from the same family as coffee, so there is sort of a caffeine effect on it. It doesn't have caffeine in it, but it has like a very uplifting energy effect. So a lot of people use it for that just alone, but it's also really great for pain. I mean, people, like farmers, would take out like the leaves of the plant, out with their lunch, and then they'd chew on the leaf during the day if they need a little boost or whatever. So now you can get it in tablets, which I think is the easiest way to get it. This is one of the companies I really like. It's called Etha. That's how you spell kratom. This is a full spectrum one, which, essentially there's a lot to know about kratom, and I can dive into all of it. If you are interested, maybe I'll do a whole thing just on kratom. But, essentially you want to mix up the strains, because the way kratom works is it does attach to opiate receptors, which is the best pain relieving system of the entire body. The opioid system is wonderful for pain relief. It's why we have it hardwired in our body. But unfortunately, because it has receptors in the body, it becomes addictive. So if you take things like opiates, those are addictive chemicals. But the way kratom works, it's an alkaloid, which is essentially, a nitrogen-containing organic molecule. And what it does is it attaches to these other receptors. It is not an opioid itself. It just attaches to the receptor, and it helps sort of turn on and turn off some of these pathways to help modulate your perception of pain. So really helpful. I've used it for my back. When my back gives out, I've pushed myself for many years. So I've used kratom on and off. I do not take it daily. I wouldn't. I never want my tolerance to go up because it tastes gross. I mean, if you've ever tried kratom as a powder, the original way I started was, as a powder, and I would just scoop and kind of dump it in my mouth and then chug water. And it always, like, if you can keep it in a pocket of powder and it doesn't explode, you're doing good. But if it explodes, it is initially like you want to throw this thing up. It is disgusting feeling, and it can explode in your throat. So I'm not selling it on you, probably, but I usually tell some of my patients who are looking for these sort of alternatives that they can put it into like warm water and make it sort of like a tea, a kratom tea, which does taste a little better. It's not a good tasting plant. It tastes like plant matter, and it's kind of gross. So to me, I will never have an issue get addicted, but I do think it has addictive potential. In fact, most people end up using kratom to get off other addictions. So they've used it for really big addictions like meth, heroin. They've even used kratom for helping people get off of alcoholism. Almost any addiction you may have, kratom can help you work out of it. And doesn't mean you have to get addicted to kratom either. You can take this responsibly, and it doesn't, it won't become addictive. So the way I would do it is switch up your strain. So this is a full spectrum, which means it's pretty much probably like a white, a green, a red, Those are different colors, right? White, green, red, there's yellow, there's gold. And then there's like blends like purple, 8-in-1, there's all sorts of different blends. Morning blend, I got like a green vein. There's a green vein one. This is really good for relief. I like the green. My favorite is the green because it kind of has the best blend of alkaloids that gives you like a euphoric boost and pain reduction. So that's really nice. It gives you that kind of like surge of energy, but it's not too much. Like a white is really stimulating. It really revs you up. I don't like whites because I already am a revved up person. So I don't like it because it gets me almost anxious. Like as long as I'm disc golfing or doing something, a white would probably be fine. But if you're driving in the car and you can't like physically move your body, to me, a white, it just builds too much internal angst. So I don't like whites that much, but I like them in a blend. Other people swear by those. I tend to be a green fan. Other people prefer reds. So reds are gonna have like either a red vein through the leaf. And again, it's kind of like a coffee plant. So think of like those type of leaves are big, broad. And so the red have the highest concentration of alkaloids, and that basically has the most pain reducing effects. So the higher you get on the alkaloid train, the more sedative it can be. So if it is, a red and it's a high dose kind of one, like maybe a Mangda or a plantain, these are like the pimp grades. These are different strains of each of these colors. So there's like red Mangda, there's Bali red, there's Indo red, there's, oh my gosh, so many. There's millions of different strains of these things. And this is good to know because you want to mix it up. Even though, for instance, I'm into greens, I cannot always take greens because I will get a tolerance to these. So I need to mix up the colors depending on the time of day I take it and, how I've been taking it. So those who like reds, that sedative effect, they really like taking those usually before bed. If it doesn't give them much sedative effect, but they have a lot of pain, that red could help them maybe get through the day more effectively. For me, it totally gives me that drowsy effect, which is great because if I'm in pain and I want to go to bed and I want something to help me sleep and not feel the pain, a red is perfect. So just kind of a way that you can start to wrap your brain around kratom. I think there's a lot of terrible information out there around it. They're trying to like link it as like a gateway drug and trying to make it just look like a druggy thing. It's too bad because this is a very safe plant. I'm sure there's contraindications for people, so you should always do your own research. I am not advising you. I don't even know who you are listening to this, so you should always do your research. What I'm doing is sharing what I've come across. So yeah, there's contraindications for anything, especially if you have an addictive personality, then you shouldn't do things that can become addicting, because more likely than not, you're going to abuse them. So if you know that about yourself, don't do it. But if you're already in an abusive relationship with another harder drug, you should consider a plant that might help you get off of it. And so kratom might be a good option for you. Do some good reading. Remember that you're going to read a lot of misinformation too, because you're going to get people that don't research stuff enough putting out information. You're going to get people that research a lot putting out information. You're going to get people who are trying to break apart all of the information because they want you to believe that it's dangerous, because they don't want you to steer clear of NSAIDs or pharmaceutical pain relievers, because that is big money, just like cancer, big, big money. So I love that. Another one I really love to take is wild lettuce. Wild lettuce grows mostly, well, it's really, really proliferant in the South. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'm sitting around it right now. I wanted to ID it the other day, so I need to take my little plant IDer and see, but it grows proliferate. That's not the right word. It grows, okay, I'm just blanking on that word, but proliferative. It grows really well in the South. It doesn't seem to grow really well in northern climates, but you can do some research. Most likely what you'll do anyway is just order it. So you can get it like in the leaf form. So it kind of just looks like an herb. That's wild lettuce. And you can also get it in like a tincture form. This is Red Moon Herbs. I love them. women-owned business out of the Appalachia area here. Just really well-sourced stuff. So wild lettuce. And what I do is I'll typically make a tea out of it or add some of this into tea with other things, because I don't think wild lettuce particularly tastes amazing. I just add it in for a little anti-inflammatory, pain-relieving boost. I did know the chemical properties of wild lettuce at one point in my life, but I don't have them in my head right now. But you can look that up too. I did learn you can make a really thick black salve out of wild lettuce oil. And so I think people end up making that, and it's very potent. So again, do some research on that. I just find the lower potency stuff seems to work fine for me. I don't lean on wild lettuce when I'm really, really hurting. I tend to reach for kratom because I don't like messing around. And also, you know, I do a lot of L-DOAs, a lot of myofascial stretching. Like, I'm a very physically active person, so I'm also doing these movement things to help me. As well as, I think it's really important to keep your diet in an anti-inflammatory zone. If you're eating things that are just inflaming you all the time, there's no amount of exercise that's ever gonna help. In fact, that might also be extra inflammatory depending on what you're doing, and there's no supplement that's gonna help you. So you have to control the diet and the inflammatory factors of that. But for a nice little boost when you're hurting, wild lettuce. It's the bee's knees. This stuff is wonderful. It's really, really helpful. I'll be using it probably when I go through surgery. And both of these are, well, I'll leave the wild lettuce because what I have used for when I'm going through mistletoe, when they were doing the injections and I was really, really sore, I do take kratom, usually just before the injection, just because it takes a few minutes, 10, 15 minutes to like activate, and that needle really hurts. So I usually do a little bit of that. And the reason I do kratom over other NSAIDs or anti-inflammatory drugs is because I want the inflammation. The whole point of mistletoe is to get things inflamed and stirred up. You don't want to be knocking down the inflammation right away. The whole point is to get the immune response. And that, unfortunately, only happens with inflammation. Inflammation is part of the healing process. So that's why taking kratom and things are really helpful, because it doesn't block that. And I can still get the pain relief without messing with the mechanics or the mechanisms of mistletoe. So that's what I do. If I'm really hurting topically, like I want something just to put on my body, I love white willow. This is willow balm. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this. This stuff works so well. This company found a way into, Tractor Supply. So some of the farmers loved it so much, they actually supported it and got it carried in Tractor Supply. So you can find this, most Tractor Supplies, some big stores, they've really got their name out. It's Nature's Willow, willow balm, and what it is it's white willow bark, which is the active ingredient in aspirin. So if you take aspirin, you know, you could just take willow bark. They do have pill forms of willow bark. I will say you have to take more capsules of those than you would of an aspirin, because we're dealing with the herb, and you know, they're not concentrating it down to one molecule. We have a lot of other synergistic qualities to that herb, so the dose seems to have to go up a little bit. For me, I basically would take 4, and it would really help a headache that I would have. I haven't taken it internal in a while, but I do love it topical. So I love this stuff. It's like a little bit of menthol, but not too much, because I don't like things that are too cooling or too warming. So that sensation change. Unless I'm really hurting, then I love things that change up my perception of pain. So I think that this is a really wonderful pain cream. Now, I have a million other things I could recommend for topical pain creams. I mean, DMSO, the cream, 70% DMSO, 30% aloe. These creams are out there on Amazon. Usually Nature's Gift is a good company. Usually it comes in a rose scented. I like the cream more than the gel, but that's another really wonderful anti-inflammatory cream. And the cool thing about the DMSO is it creates ionophoresis. So it can actually help pull ions in deeper. So you can pair it, you know, with maybe some CBD, or if you have a full spectrum cannabis topical, which are pretty pricey, you can pair it with that and it'll draw it in deeper. So you'll get a bigger effect out of using a lot less. So I love DMSO. I pair it with white willow a lot. I pair DMSO with peanut oil, cold press unrefined peanut oil is wonderful on arthritic joints. And I pair that with DMSO and rub that all in. That stuff's wonderful. So just little things you can do. I have a million more, but that gives you a good idea of what I do. One other thing I was going to share today, because I finally bought one of these guys. I'm not going to try to pronounce the name of this, but one of the bitters I've used, it's from Germany, that has really helped with nausea as well. And I can just put a few drops in my water. They use this at the clinic. The Mistletoe Clinic is this company? You'll just have to look. Waleda, and they're out of Germany, and it's like Messengreis, something like that. Anyway, this stuff's good. It's bitters. This has done the trick when I'm dealing with mistletoe. Sometimes if they infuse it pretty fast, depending on how fast they make the drip, it can give you a little nausea, and they'll come in with some water with this, and it's lovely. So I actually added it in my water today. Just nice to have, and it really does cut the nausea quite a bit. It's a bummer I'm feeling it, because I wasn't feeling it for a few weeks. I'd really been keeping above it, but today it caught me a little bit. So anyway, we'll roll with what we got. I think that's a pretty decent look at some of the things I use for natural painkillers. I do remember I had one more that I don't have here, but I remembered it, which is good, is Jamaican dogwood. So if you've ever learned about Jamaican dogwood, it is really good for nerve pain. I had a friend, a patient of mine, share that with me, and I think I ended up sharing it with someone else. I used a bit, so now I need to reload. But it is it is especially good for nerve pain and menstrual pain. So Jamaican dogwood, you can look that up. It's been used for a long time in the Caribbean countries, and it's made its way up here. And it has all sorts of cool neuroprotective qualities as well, so it could be something to use more often. I don't know, I haven't done the research a lot on that one. I have learned it is extremely good for the nerve and menstrual pain, and so I have recommended it to people, and I hear really good things. I haven't used it for a lot of that, because luckily I have been dealing with some of that pain pretty well through the years. So just another thing to throw your way to give you a shot to trying to combat pain in a natural way. I hope that was helpful, and I hope you guys are having a great day, and maybe you all get tomorrow off for Independence Day. If not, I hope your work goes well, and if you get the day off, enjoy it. I'm hoping to disc golf tomorrow. We're going to try to go to North Cove in the morning, play a little round, and we're going to rent a cart, so if I get pooped, I can just drive the cart around. But I'm just really, I'm really hoping the port doesn't get sore, and I can keep up. How I played Monday, it was like old days. I was throwing things with no effort. It was great. So hopefully I can find that energy, that inner strength. But thank you for tuning in today, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. Bye-bye.